attack on Second Amendment having failed miserably to reduce the Second Amendment to an endangered species. The gun grabbers are busily working on a new angle, making sure Americans on government terror watch lists cannot purchase firearms. Following the failure of Manchin, Toomey in the Senate and the attack in Boston last month, the anti-Second Amendment activist and New York Democrat Rep. Carolyn Maloney has led the charge. Appearing on MSNBC earlier this week, Maloney claimed gun laws would have prevented the Boston terror attack despite the fact explosives were used in the attack. As it stands right now, Tamerlan, as we know now, was on the terrorist watch list, so we know a gun check would stop him, if there was a background check, she said. Maloney went on to say that gun shows are used by terrorists to buy firearms with no questions asked. The Democrat failed to note that the alleged Boston bombers, according to media reports, did not have government gun permits, and probably acquired their weapon, allegedly a 9mm Ruger handgun, through illegal means. However, although we were told Dzhokhar Zardev was heavily armed, he did not have a gun when he was arrested following the Boston and Watertown, Massachusetts lockdown. Prior to the Boston terror incident, the veteran gun grabber, Democrat Senator Frank Lautenberg of New Jersey, introduced a bill he claimed would close the terror gap by not allowing suspected terrorists to purchase or own firearms. The bill was sidelined in 2007, due to pressure by the NRA following the Boston bombings. The Democrat moved to reintroduce his bill. No matter what terror watch list the Boston bomber was on, our porous gun laws would have allowed him to walk into a store and legally buy guns and explosives, Lautenberg said. The NRA may disagree, but it's time to put the safety of our families first, and we will keep up the fight to make this common sense fix. The same year Lautenberg originally introduced his legislation, then Congressman Rahm Emanuel, who would later serve as Obama's chief of staff, told attendees at the annual Stand Up for a Safe America sponsored by the Brady Center, that Americans who are on the terror no-fly list should not be allowed to own a gun. In September of 2007, the Inspector General of the Justice Department reported that the terrorist screening center administered by the FBI had over 700,000 names on its database, and that the list was growing by 20,000 records per month. By those numbers, the list now has over 1 million names on it. Terrorist watch lists must be tightly focused on true terrorists, who pose a genuine threat, the ACLU argues. Our country's watch list system is grossly bloated and unfair, with over 1 million names, including many unlikely suspects, and not effective as a security measure, the ACLU noted. If the government is going to rely on those kinds of lists, they need checks and balances to ensure that innocent people are protected. The ACLU found that the lists are outdated, people were not removed in a timely manner, and tens of thousands of names were placed on the list without predicate. The consequences of being mistakenly added to a terror watch list can be more severe than simply missing a plane. Law enforcement routinely run names against the watch lists for matters as mundane as traffic stops, and innocent individuals may be harassed even if they don't attempt to fly. It may soon also result in thousands of Americans having their Second Amendment denied. The establishment media is taking full advantage of the alleged presence of Tamerlan Zardev's name on multiple government watch lists. Even Al-Qaeda gloats about what's possible under the United States gun laws, NPR reported last month, citing an Al-Qaeda video released last year featuring the American Adam Gadahon encouraging terrorists to exploit gun laws in the United States. America is absolutely awash with easily obtainable firearms. You can go down to a gun show at the local convention center and come away with a fully automatic rifle without a background check and, most likely, without having to show an identification card, the senior Al-Qaeda operative says in the video, extolling would-be terrorists to run out and arm themselves. Despite the obvious propaganda value of Gadahon's video, under the National Firearms Act enacted in 1934, it is illegal for civilians to own fully automatic weapons without special permission from the United States Treasury Department. Democrats in Congress may attempt to exploit the terrorist identities data mart environment tied and other lists in an effort to chip away at the Second Amendment, but they will fortunately run into the same level of resistance they encountered when they attempted to foist the Manchin Toomey bill on the American people following the Sandy Hook massacre. It waves a flag to take a look at a person, no more than that. Under the Constitution, the government can't stop the United States citizens buying a gun just on a mere suspicion. They must have proof of a conviction or other reason for disqualification, Michael James Barton, a former White House counterterrorism official, told The Guardian. He said the tied list, that allegedly contains Tamerlan Tsarnaev's name, should be regarded with caution. The list contains highly classified information available only to the CIA, DIA, FBI, NSA and other intelligence agencies. Obama vows to keep at gun control. This is just the first round. President Barack Obama vowed Thursday during a trip to Mexico to continue pushing for new, tighter gun control rules in the United States, saying his proposal's recent defeat in Congress was just the first round. Speaking following a meeting with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto, whose country has been ravaged by gang violence supported in part by gun trafficking into Mexico, Obama vowed to return to the issue of gun control in the United States. The last time we had major gun legislation, it took 6, 7, 8 tries to get passed, Obama said at a press conference following his meeting with the Mexican president. Things happen somewhat slowly in Washington, but this is just the first round. Democratic leaders in the Senate were forced to shelve a bipartisan proposal expanding background checks for firearms sold online and at gun shows, when it failed to receive the requisite 60 votes to survive a filibuster threat. The measure's Democratic proposal, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, has vowed to fight to bring the proposal back up for another vote. And in an article published Wednesday, the proposal's Republican author, Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey, suggested that politics were afoot in many grand old party senators' decision to oppose the package. There were some on my side, who did not want to be seen helping the president do something he wanted to get done, just because the president wanted to do it, Toomey told local newspaper editors. Top talkers, is the public willing to give up some of their civil liberties, to curb terrorism in the United States? And which civil liberties? A new CNN ORC poll takes a look at the issue, and the Morning Joe panel discusses. Meanwhile, Senator Pat Toomey, RPA, discusses how his push to expand gun background checks was voted down in the Senate. Congress is away from Washington this week for a scheduled recess, but the issue of guns has followed members back to their states and their districts. Gun control advocates have aired ads targeting key senators for their votes in their respective states, and Democratic groups have trailed New Hampshire Senator Kelly Ayotte throughout her state this week, to put public pressure on the first-term senator for her vote during public town hall meetings. The president and his allies are relying on the fact that public opinion is largely on their side, when it comes to the specific gun proposals being floated by the administration. When you've got 90% of the American people supporting the initiatives that we put forward, I believe that eventually we are going to get that done, and I'm going to keep on trying, he said.